righty, we're done. I'm not speaking to you. And he's gone, what do you mean? What do you mean? I went, I saw your Instagram this morning. And they did this like little quick Q&A. One of the questions was, Shearer or Lineker? And he went, Shearer.
Oh!
And he went, oh, I was hoping you wouldn't see it. Hello and welcome to the Rest is Football question episode with me, Gary Lineker, Micah Richards and Alan Shearer. They're perched, ready, in place, primed. So let's get cracking immediately with the first question. From Ian Farrington. Loving the podcast. Every episode is a great listen. Good to hear. Thank you very much, Ian. Mm-hmm. When you were playing, did you care what shirt or squad number you wore?
Yes, of course you did. Of course you did.
Yes.
I mean, no one wants to hear about defenders, so you two go first.
What number did you play, Alan?
I made my England debut in 10, as you know.
What? 10?
Yeah, he borrowed,
10,
Flair?
He borrowed my shirt for a game, Micah.
Yeah, I did. 10. Didn't start off as a 9, but then got the number 9, and then, I had to wear them. I don't know, I just felt different if I didn't have the number 9 on.
Yeah, well, the top part of the 9 is like your head, isn't it? I actually, funnily enough, I played a few different numbers during my career. I started with, I made my debut as 7 with Leicester because I played on the right wing for the first 30-odd games, which ruined my goal ratio, but never mind. And then I got in my true position up front, and for some reason I had the number 8 on my back, and it kind of had it for quite a while. Then I played a few games with 9, and I didn't score. So from that point onwards, I didn't ever wear 9 again. I didn't want to wear it. So I went back to 8. I played all my career at Leicester as 8. I went to Everton and played number 8 as well. And then I made my England debut, and I sort of got in as with the number 10 shirt, which was the first time I'd ever worn number 10. Then I got moved to Barcelona, and I had the 8 for the first season. And at the end of the season, I talked before about you were only allowed 2 foreign players, and it was me and Mark Hughes, but it didn't really happen for Mark. And he left to play for Bayern Munich on loan, and then he eventually went back to Manchester United. So they brought back Bernd Schuster, who'd been there previously but wasn't allowed to play during the period that I was there because of the 2 foreign players rule. But he wore the number 8 when he was previously there, and he was desperate to wear it. And he came to me saying, I want to wear the 8. I went, okay. I was wearing 10 by this stage with England, and had just won the Golden Boot in Mexico. Thought I'd mention that. And so I said, well, okay, fair enough. I don't mind. I'll switch to 10. And then from there on in, I wore 10 for the rest of my career at both England and Barcelona and Tottenham. So
come on, how did it really go, Gary? He just didn't go, oh, can I have number 8? He said, I'm number 8, basically. You're taking the number 10, and I'm having the number 8. Is that how it went?
He was bigger than me. No, honestly, I wasn't that bothered. As long as I didn't want 9. I didn't want 9, just because I'd had that little spell with 9 and never scored.
I didn't, when at Southampton, I didn't have 9 until later on as well, because I made my debut at 17. I think I was 11. But if you remember then, it was only 1 to 11 anyway. It was no squad numbers or anything like that.
Yeah, that's right. And the sub was number 12. The whole squad thing changed. When did that start? When was it that everyone kept their number and had the? I suppose it probably started when you have the name on the shirt, because you don't really. If you change your number every week, you've got to change your name on shirts. Can you remember
those days? Only
Micah?
1 sub.
What about you, Micah? What was your number? Obviously 2.
No, but I was number 45 to start with. Wow. It was a squad number, so you have all the first teamers, they get all the best numbers, and then I started on number 45, and after the first season, I was just eyeing up that number 2 shirt. I was thinking,
who had it before?
I think it was David Sommet. So he was a centre-half / right back, French, I believe he was. And he was the nicest guy ever. And he said, no problem, just have it. And then for some reason, when I went to Fiorentina, I took the number 4 shirt and I was useless. And for some reason, I went to Villa and took the number 4 shirt again. I was useless again. So I will never wear number 4 ever in my life.
You went from number 2 to number 4.
Yeah.
So you were twice as useless at 4 as you were at 2.
Can I just say it's got all to do with the number?
He's playing well,
Oh, dearie me. I've got a question from Nick Ward, who asks, with all the major reality game shows, Strictly, I'm a Celeb, MasterChef, etc., have any of you been asked to take part in any, and is there one you would like to be part of? Loving the pod, keep it up. Thank you, Nick. I can categorically say no, I'm not interested in any reality show, and if you ever see me on one, you'll know things have gone bloody horribly wrong. It's always a desperation measure, isn't it?
well done. You can't see.
I mean, come on. Why would you go and put yourself through the jungle? I think it's people trying to, I suppose, trying to boost their career or save their career.
Ian Wright's been in the jungle.
That's my point entirely.
I think there were 500,000 reasons why he went in.
But, yeah, it was funny. I was at Ian on Saturday, and I'm sure you saw it. I walked in on Saturday, and he was already in there, actually sitting in the office, and I said to him, "Righty, we're done. I'm not speaking to you." And he's gone, What do you mean? What do you mean? I went, "I saw your Instagram this morning, and they did this like little quick Q&A, and I'm sure you saw it, Alan. And it one of the questions was Shearer or Lineker, and he went Shearer."
Oh!
And he went, "Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't see it." I said, "Righty." I said, not only did I see it, but you didn't give it like a moment's thought. You didn't even go, "Oh, that's a difficult one. I'm not sure. Oh, God, you've put me on the spot there." He just went, "Shearer."
Only because he's coming to the Milan game on Wednesday and knew he wouldn't get a ticket.
Tickets. Oh, well, that's it. That's fine. Why didn't he tell me that? If he'd have just said that. Oh, God. Anyway, I'm sure you... did you see that, Alan? Did you see it?
I saw it.
Of course
I
you did,
didn't want to say anything.
I bet you texted him as well, didn't you? I bet you went, "Oh, thanks, Ian. Thanks, Righty." Did you?
He knows his stuff, right?
There are no circumstances I'd go on the jungle. I can't watch it anyway. It used to be quite fun. I love Ant Dec. That's great. But it's so repetitive. It's the same with Strictly. It's so... I know people love it, but I must say I find it incredibly boring. It's exactly the same every series. There are no circumstances I'd go on that. Plus, as well, I can't dance for toffee.
Micah, listen to the entire time. Listen to him.
I'd spend the entire time trying to find my comfort zone.
Well, that's the whole point, to be outside your comfort zone. That's the whole point of the programs, no?
Exactly. Horrible.
Have you been asked to go on any, Micah?
I've been asked to go on.
I'll bet.
Well, it's supposed to be private, so I'm not allowed to say, but yes.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Oh, right, okay.
I've been asked loads of times to go on all these things, but you're
The two
allowed to
boys
say
asked
if
me
you've
to
been
go on
asked.
the
Well, I think the email, when it
Micah,
comes
I
to
can
you,
see on Strictly. I think you'd be amazing on Strictly.
there's no chance ever I would ever go on Strictly. I love the show.
Micah, I can see you chucking shapes left, right and centre, man.
Yeah, Alan, I must say, he can't possibly ever go on Strictly because he's on every other TV show known to man anyway. So how's he going to fit it in?
That is true.
I'd go on SAS. I would go on that if my knee
Would
was
you?
Okay. That's what I would love to do.
He's already given himself, he's out there to see that if my knee was okay. I definitely wouldn't do that.
If my knee
And I
was
also
all right,
know how television works in terms of non-live television. That's why I love Match of the Day and doing the football. It's live. You know when you start, you know when you finish, you come on, it's a buzz. With all those things, they're just interminable. But Alan, come on. You must have been asked.
The two boys ask now and again if I ever want to go on
the jungle.
I'm a celebrity, but
you'd be brilliant at that. You know what?
You would actually.
Before we
I'd get kicked out. I'd never work in television again.
Before we did this podcast, everyone was like, "No, Alan Shearer's right boring, ain't he?" Now you've done
think the same.
Now you've done this podcast. Oh, Alan's, he's brilliant. He's fantastic.
Do you know what he is now?
He's unbelievable. I'm like, he's always been that. He's just
Micah. You know what he said? They used to say he was a boring, and that is true. But now they've just lost the word boring.
He's loved.
Love it, lads.
He's
love you too as well, boys.
It salvaged his career, and I think the jungle would also do that. I think you'd be amazing. I'd love to see you in the jungle.
I'm petrified.
In
of heights.
fact,
I would. Do that.
I'd start watching it again if you were on.
I'm sure you would.
Definitely.
No chance. I don't like heights, so I've got no chance.
Oh, me too. There's no way I could, like, you know when they sometimes jump out of a bloody helicopter or a plane. No, what's the? Oh, God. No, thank you very much indeed. A question from Steve the Spring Maker. Interesting name. Hi, Gary. My question is about what it feels like after a game. Obviously, the game takes a physical toll, but is there any sort of mental come down? And if so, how long does it last? Love the pod. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Very good question, that. Very good question.
Yeah, well, there is a come down after it's, because it's such a buzz, isn't it, and high. And I always, you feel completely exhausted normally.
It depends. I mean, towards the back end of your career, I mean, physically as well as mentally. I mean, physically, I struggle to get out of bed some mornings. My knees and my ankles were that bad. But it depends what happens in the game, I suppose, good or bad. The good things, I mean, they stay with you forever. But the bad thing, it's like you never. I mean, it took me a couple of nights, sleepless nights, if missed a penalty or whatever. But yeah, it's tough, yeah.
God, you must have had a lot of sleepless nights.
No, it's great, isn't it? When you win, you're on top of the world. You can do anything you want. You could go on a bender, drinking for days. And I don't want to bring it back to drink, but you could go on a bender and you could still play the next weekend and still play well. When you lose, I didn't sleep for 2-3 nights. It got to the stage where I wasn't even going up for lunch at Villa because I was so embarrassed to go and be seen for the performances I was putting in. So it can take a toll on you. But I think that's what makes football so great. And this is why I love punditry and doing the podcasts and being with you guys, because you get a little bit of the dressing room back, don't you? You know the stuff what you missed? We don't get the high of winning a game, but we still get to take the mick out of each other, which I miss in football.
Yeah, we do. If I'm really honest, it never really affected me too much after a game how it had gone in terms of sleep or anything like that.
Really?
I would never get too carried away if it's going well either. And I think that was kind of one of.
Did you ever stop nights out? You know, if you got a night out arranged, and if you had a poor game where you got beaten or whatever, the number of times I went home and said, "I'm not going out. Cancel it.
Me too.
Forget it. I'm not out."
No,
Really?
never made any difference whatsoever. But I wasn't. I mean, it's not like I went out partying and stuff very often. Anyway, it was more going out for dinner and stuff like that. No, I never. No, honestly, I could put it. I think it's one of my strengths, to be perfectly honest. The fact that I wouldn't let things affect me one way or the other. I would, obviously enjoy it more if you've won and you've scored. And I never liked it when I didn't score, but it wouldn't affect me for maybe an hour or two.
Oh,
and then
You're mentally strong, aren't you, guys? Honestly, you're mentally.
Who didn't give a
all the Twitter stuff and whatever. If I'm trending for a day, I'm like, what? It's like the end of the world. Like if I've done nothing wrong and I'm trending, I'm thinking, what's going on here?
I've been trending again. The last couple of days. It's funny though. There was a lovely one from. I can't remember who posted it because I don't really look at Twitter much, but it did. Somebody sent it me actually, or X as we now call it, and they say, "Oh, I see Gary Lineker's trending again. What's he right about this time?" He'd be right occasionally. But anyway, no, things like that. I mean, other people's opinions and, you can't do anything about those things. you can't, you can't let people bully you either. I think that's important. Just try to be unbullyable, and stick by your principles, really. And if you feel something is important, and speak out about it. And people will disagree, and absolutely would say that they have every right to disagree if they wish. Everyone's entitled to opinion, free speech, and all that. But one thing I will say about free speech from those that don't like you, you're allowed free speech when they agree with you. When they don't, no, shut your mouth. Right, let's take a little break. Welcome back to the Rest is Football with me, Gary Lineker, Micah Richards and Alan Shearer. We're ploughing quickly through your questions, well, as quickly as we possibly can to get as many as we can fit in. Andy Taylor says, love the podcast, guys. Keep up the amazing work. Do you think Villa can actually mount a title challenge? They've been super impressive so far. And it also takes me to a question from Gary H. He says, should Villa look to spend relatively big in January to try and secure a top 4 slot, or keep hold of the money until the summer? Hope the current squad can get us there and then purchase in the summer when more top draw players may be available if we are in the CL. Champions League, he means. So a couple of questions on Aston Villa, understandably so, because they're going really well. We answered in the main pod that we thought it's unlikely that they can win the title, but possibly a Champions League place. But what should they do in the window?
Go on, Micah, ex-Aston Villa.
We talked about it before in the pod. You mentioned Watkins. If Watkins were to get injured, I know they've got Duran as well, but I would go out and potentially get an experienced striker that can see them through.
Good luck.
When they need to give Ollie Watkins a rest, just to wrap him in cotton wool.
You mean they should sign Alan Shearer? Yeah.
Imagine Shearer up top, getting his bonder in.
It's not easy to get top quality strikers, though, particularly in the January window, is it?
No, not at all. No,
if the incentive,
Newcastle might be looking for one as well.
If the incentive is good enough, and we're not talking about top quality, talking about
give me a name. Give me a
level below. Okay, who would I go for?
Ivan Toney, there's one.
Ivan Toney could be a great one. Yes,
good shout.
But I think he would want to start every game. So it's very difficult if you want to still play the same system to have someone who's can come into the team, could do a very good job, but's not expected to play every week. And that's why it's a little bit difficult, you know? And you give them an example, you get them on loan. If they get into the Champions League, then they get a bumper contract at the end of it, you know? Or a big bonus for getting them to a Champions League, and they could go back on loan to whoever they're gonna. I would go with someone like a Danny Ings mould, but not Danny Ings. Someone who you know can get like a younger Danny Ings. Who would I go for? Ooh, it's a good question. This.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's not easy, is it?
They're worth their weight in gold, aren't they, Alan?
Yeah.
Proper
strikers.
strikers.
No, I don't. Going back to the question, I don't see Villa challenging for the title, but I do see them challenging to get into the top 4. And I think they will have to recruit in January. How many, I'm not sure, but it's always tough, isn't it? January, but he's doing an amazing job.
I think Micah's googling old strikers.
No.
I caught you. Old strikers.
Either that or he's arranging his Christmas night out. One of the two.
You know what I'm going to go with?
Go on.
Someone left field, and you guys probably not seen him play. No disrespect, because we don't watch a lot of Championship, because we're always working. We see highlights, but we don't see the games. But someone like a Brereton Diaz, who was at Blackburn and who is now playing.
Did you just say we won't know who he is?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
For Blackburn, Alan's former club.
But he's not at Blackburn no more.
I know, but we know him.
Yeah, no, but because I don't want to say someone who were like, who on God's earth is he? Someone like that who.
Kelechi Iheanacho? He's not available.
Someone just below the level is what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha. Baz Wilkes, when all of you were playing, what did you feel set you apart from other players in your position, which kept you at such a consistent high level? Loving the podcast. Thank you. Scoring more goals than anyone else. Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Micah?
What was that question again, Gary?
It's a tough one for you, Micah, to be honest. When all of you were playing, what did you feel set you apart from other players in your position?
Oh, the pace, the power, the agility. Hey, let's just talk about my career, my early part.
We're talking about yourself, not Zabaleta.
Let's take me way back. Honestly, if I could have stayed fit, without my knees, the pace, the power, the agility, the overlapping.
Do we have to listen to this?
What's that? If my auntie had, what was that
Exactly. If I hadn't been injured, I might have scored 700 goals.
That's what set me apart. Early doors. Yes.
Okay. Alistair Gillespie asks, we are heading towards 14 plus US owners in the top flight. That majority could vote for a closed shop, no relegation. I think that will happen in the next 5 to 10 years. If it does, that's it for me. Do you think many football fans will feel the same if it is a closed shop at the top? I think they absolutely would. There'd be a massive revolt if you weren't allowed promotion and relegation.
But he makes a great point about the ownership, because you need 14 votes, don't you, in the Premier League to get things.
Do you not think
through.
though, if they did that, there'd be the kind of revolt that we saw with the Super League of supporters around the country, and it would get quashed immediately? I'd certainly be one of those people that would be rebelling to that. Because that's what, you need that. I mean, I think that's what sets certainly football apart, that jeopardy. Otherwise, what happens? You're halfway through the season, there's a few teams at the top, and everybody below, I don't know, 5th or 6th has got hardly anything to play for. There's no, the relegation thing is, and for teams in the lower leagues, you've got to have that goal to be promoted. I mean, it would just ruin our game, wouldn't it?
It'd be devastating, wouldn't it?
It won't
happen. I don't think it would happen. It's a great point raised, but no, the Premier League, the Championship, the Football League is what it is because of the promotion and relegation.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. Rashid asks, how do players adjust with retirement? Of course, some go into management or punditry, but I'm talking about those who don't. Well, actually, that's a really serious point, because I think a lot of players do struggle when their careers come to a close. The fame gradually dissipates. That buzz of waking up and playing a football match, the feeling, the camaraderie, the banter that Micah talked about earlier, that we now have a little bit on the podcast and when we do Match of the Day and other TV stuff. But for a lot of players who can't find a role in the game, obviously even now when they're earning lots of money, they might look for something else. They might invest in a business. It might go wrong. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. A lot of players do really struggle with their mental health when they finish the game. There's some remarkable statistic about divorce of players that have just finished between, I think, the age of 35 and 40. I think there's something like well over 70% of players get divorced. You can see why, dealing with a different life and things start to get a little bit out of control. So it's actually a serious issue, isn't it?
Oh, it's totally understandable that. You get everything done for you, and I mean everything. You got that buzz of scoring or running out in front of 50, 60,000, and the quicker you realise when you retire, you're never going to get that feeling again, the better, because some people go chasing that drug, and that drug unfortunately isn't there. And the quicker you realise that, the better it is. We've been really lucky that we still get the buzz for doing what we do, but most it is tough. It's really difficult.
I mean, we were lucky because we found something else to do, and we played in an era where, I mean, certainly I did. You started to get in, at the end of your career, certainly the middle of your career, where the money started to go really big. But players get used to, you earn a lot of money, but generally when you earn a lot of money, you also spend a lot of money. How has it changed now, Micah, when players do earn a lot of them, astronomical sums of money, although they don't in the lower leagues, of course?
It's again, a very good question. It is difficult. And when pundits or the media say you've just got to concentrate on your football, I agree with that, but only to a certain extent, because when football's finished, you've got nothing to fall back on.
There's a lot of life after football.
There is. So I started a property company when I was 18, and when things weren't going right, or even when things were going right, I had a distraction from football 24/7. So I was building up my property portfolio. I started doing development around the Leeds and Manchester area, and it just gave me a purpose after football. So I didn't know I was going to be a pundit after football. To be honest, the way my career ended, I didn't want to be anywhere near football because of how I was feeling, my lack of form, the fans turning on me, feeling worthless. But having that other thing to turn to, in my case, which was property, it really did help with having a schedule and giving me that work balance. It was really good for me.
Yeah,
excellent. A question from Samara Smith. Hi guys, it's a question for Alan. Would you rather watch Newcastle lift the Premier League from the stands or experience scoring the winner for them one last time at the peak of your career?
Well, I've had that feeling, so I much prefer to take them win the Premier League trophy or any trophy. I want to be alive when Newcastle win a trophy. Yeah.
I know. I
need to be.
I absolutely relate to that because I've said this before. When Leicester won the Premier League, that for me was the greatest sporting moment of my life. And I obviously played a few games and won a few things. But when Leicester won that league, even just as a fan, I had nothing to do with it whatsoever, obviously. But it was glorious. And as a supporter, it's funny, I think, as well. Have you found, Alan, that since when you finish your career, you think you follow your club and all that, obviously. But as you get older, it matters more. It shouldn't do because it doesn't make any sense. You're like middle-aged men here, but it's like it really matters how your team does.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Newcastle haven't won a trophy since 1969. I mean, I wasn't even born.
Weren't you?
No,
next year. Were you 70? Were you?
It was like 1970 I was born. Yeah. So, give me... we'll take anything. It doesn't have to be the Premier League. And I've scored
Maybe you're the jinx, Al.
The
Maybe you're the jinx. The minute you were born, they stopped winning things.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. So give me... I'd need to see Newcastle win a trophy.
Yeah. Micah? Well, you're just used to seeing City win everything.
Yeah, no, it's... There's trophies coming out my ears, mate. No worries.
No ear jokes.
No, yeah. I thought I was going to say something. I better not.
I knew. I could see you. I could see you thinking. A question from Utterly Fed Up. Our final one. Questions about goalkeepers. How much do they train on their own or with the rest of the team? Do goalkeepers have a greater affinity with other keepers than outfield players do with their opposite numbers? That's another interesting question because mostly keepers train on their own, except probably when you're doing defensive shape in particular.
David James. You would have played with him, wouldn't you, Alan?
I did, actually. Yeah, I played with David in the under-21s with England, yeah.
When we was at Man City, so I was coming through 17, 18, and the goalkeepers do their own warm-up, and then they go off and do their own goalkeeper training. And then they come into the session, whether that sometimes little possession or if we're doing some shape. But after training, David James used to just give me the curly finger. Curly finger, come here, you. So I'm thinking like...
Not the middle finger.
No, not middle. No, not the middle finger. Okay. Not the middle one. But really nice, not horrible with it. And every day after training, basically, someone would take corners, he would stand in goal, and basically I was just the mannequin. So I used to just go up and jump up and try head the ball, and he just used to come out and go,
batter you.
J-Balls! And like, have you seen the size of him? And like, there was one time where he jumped up, and I've got a very good leap, and I jumped up and just nicked it across and put it into the bottom corner. He said, what the f*** are you doing? I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm making it as realistic as possible. He said, I want you to jump with me, not score. Everyone out there is looking at me thinking I can't even punch one out against a academy graduate. I was like, J-Mo, please, I'm just doing my job. And back then, when you're like, you've just coming through, you can't say anything because it's a senior pro. You want to be respectful. But honestly, the day I stopped doing that was one of the best times of my career because it was just
they're a different breed, aren't they, goalkeepers?
They're a strange
They're a different breed. They've got the keepers union, haven't they? And they're different. You have to be, don't you, to be in goal, though.
You've got to be mad. I mean, towards the end of my career, when I had the courage to talk to coaches and say to them, can I just do finishing rather than all the five-a-side nonsense and all that? And I used to get a big bag of balls and get a goalkeeper and go and practice against them one-on-ones and get someone to cross them and stuff. So that's. But aside from that, no, you're absolutely right. They're a funny old bunch. they really are.
And they try to stop us doing our job.
Yeah, exactly. They get in the way, don't they? Sometimes bloody annoying creatures.
Very annoying. Yeah.
And on that note. We'll take our gloves off and call it a day. But thanks once again for all your questions. Massively appreciated. And for your love of the pod. Means a lot. Thank you very much. And goodbye until later in the week.
Goodbye from me.
Cheers, everyone. Goodbye.